Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is December 31st, 2024, and I want to get right into it. Recently, during this holiday season, I was questioned. The question was if I was going to continue to talk about the environment. Basically, somebody in my group of, let's just call it associates, said that they didn't really want to get together and talk with me specifically because I talk about things that are related to the environment. So what I got out of that is that basically, like almost any other grown person in my group who has lost their spark of joy, the person who was basically talking with me and denying my ability to interact with them because of whatever prejudice they had was basically trying to denounce or cover up the truth. Those kind of actions are something that I've become very familiar with in our adult population. So, what do I mean by that? Well, when we talk with children and try to have a conversation about something that's relevant, in general, as long as the child can see a point of logic that we can agree on, then basically we will continue to have conversations and play in the sandlot together, for lack of a better way to put it. The fact of the matter today, though, in my life, is that most of the adults with whom I've had contact and communication capabilities in the past have become absent and silent. And what I mean is they're not really absent in that they couldn't show up, or that they're out of the picture, or they've moved, or anything like that. They're just absent from the overall complete conversation. The complete conversations in my family ended quite some time ago and continued for many years so far, where basically we have not gotten together as a family for any of these holidays. In the past, we had people who had birthdays and, basically the wherewithal to organize family in a way that allowed us to have conversations together. The divide and conquer tactic of the entity that comes here to kill, steal, and destroy seems to have succeeded in that basically I'm not the only one out there who has had a less than family style get together at these family rituals that we've mostly come to have grown accustomed to. So I want to let you know that I'm basically driving on an expressway right now. The speed limit is 70, and my conversation is mostly focused on that. So if I slow down and talk to, if I don't spit it out for you, I apologize. If my conversation is too slow for you, yeah, maybe you just might have to listen a little bit longer. But the reason I'm even touching on that is because, again, specifically, the person who asked if I was going to talk about the environment, as I was trying to carefully present my side of this story that prompted that insight to begin with, they were trying to taunt me as I was pausing for words, trying to find the right words, the appropriate words, instead of just spilling out a bunch of words that are laced with any of the negative thoughts that also happen to go through my own mind. All of us have thoughts from opposing views, from opposing sides. And some of those thoughts can be crafted and manipulated based on the circumstance around us. Like, for an example, if someone were to broadside my car right now, I might not finish this video. I might prioritize something else other than talking into this device while I'm hurtling through the environment right now in the presence of other people who are also trying to do their own thing. So speaking of that, I'm driving kind of far away. Normally I would go to a closer location, but my Texas State Park Pass has expired, and because of that, I'm going to take a long drive to a different location where I don't need a park pass to attend the location that I'm going to just basically take a walk in. So all of these things are things that I would hope to achieve easily and without any kind of financial scarcity. In my position right now, apparently the cutbacks are so severe that some of the income that I used to make is being double and triple taxed. And so if I make that income at all. And so there are a lot of things that I've had to forego. One of the things I haven't had to forego is telling people honestly what it is that we are having a discussion about. So what are we having a discussion about? Well, some people will say, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Some people will say, whatever you said is basically wrong. Some people will say, however you're saying it is wrong. Some people will say, we don't discuss those things at these events. And basically, a lot of people will just continue to say, don't talk. I don't want to hear it. They're just not saying those exact words. So if you've run into situations where your family and or former associates, be them friends or whatever other entity you might have considered them in the past, if you had that insight shared to you in the past, you might want to just continue going your route and saying the things that you need to say. Some of the things that you're holding back are important. They're important enough that we need to be discussing these situations a little bit more frequently, a little bit more concisely, a little bit more persistently, and with a little bit more compassion. So recently, in addition to this other individual who I was referencing at the beginning of this video, I also had the opportunity to talk with my dad. I was about to say my father, but I haven't received really any kind of parenting from this individual that seems to have been in the realm of what a proper father would do. So this guy who impregnated my mother basically and left our family, basically we had a conversation and he wasn't able to acknowledge the truth of the matter, that he has been ghosting his sister. And his sister is the person who basically helped participate in hiding my father when they all took my dad out of the rehab facility and transferred his property into their name and profited off of the sale of his property to my much older cousin, former mayor of a small town. And all of these things that happened recently. That's why I'm discussing it right here on YouTube, because this is my channel. So hence you too, I'm the you in this particular circumstance. You're looking at me. If you were talking to me, you would say, hey, you, what are you talking about? And I would basically calmly and collectedly say, well, I'm talking about this circumstance where a lot of people don't seem to acknowledge the aspect about responsibility. Responsibility is an interesting thing. We believe responsibility has a lot to do with income level. We believe responsibility has to do with earnings. And some people in my groups, for an example, probably in your groups as well, raise your hand, click on the thumbs up if this has happened to you. Some people will say, well, you don't really mean anything because you don't make anything, and they won't even verify what it is that you are capable of making, what it is that you're doing. And they'll pretty much put down anything that you've ever accomplished, even if you try to show them evidence. Hey, check this out. Look at what happened here. This is what I'm aspiring to do. And so a lot of people will basically go out of their way to disassociate with conversations based on a number of things. But the easiest way to remove someone from a conversation is by using bigotry. And bigotry is basically when you take one aspect of somebody and there's a fire truck passing by in front of us. Bigotry is when you take one aspect about somebody or a group of somebodies and denounce anything that they have to stand for because, well, you have bigoted insight. And that's the kind of thing that I like to reference on this channel as an observation of actuality. These things really happen. And because they really happen, I believe they need to be brought to light. And I believe they need to be brought to light in a way that's holistic and complete. And for whatever reason, we just haven't had the abilities to have these conversations, possibly because other people are, too busy watching the entertainment, consuming the entertainment without really giving a whole lot of credit to the places where credit is due. How do I mean that? And am I demanding credit from people? No, I'm not demanding anything from anybody. I'm suggesting that it's much more difficult for somebody who is not acknowledged and or welcomed in a group to exist on the same monetary plane that other people are, taking advantage of and taking for granted at the same time. How are they taking it for granted if they're making money and basically spending it on everything that they want to for these entertainment value celebrations that we're having? Well, the way that happens is when there is no gratitude being expressed for that which is. And just as an example, there's a lot of traffic around me and all that, but I'm grateful because I'm able to navigate the traffic pretty easily, pretty consistently, without much difficulty. I'm able to operate in these adverse conditions. I'm able to operate in ways that allow me to continue to maintain what it is that I'm attempting to maintain. Right now, I'm attempting to maintain my health. For this past year, if you look back at the conversations on this channel, you'll see that I've pointed out several instances where I've even had communications on here with some of the people on here, and the conversations have been so fruitless that they seem to have even damaged my own health. I mean, the evidence was there. I shared it in different ways. But whether we acknowledge it or not has a lot to do with whether we can perceive the other person's point of view or not. That is basically where bigotry comes in. Some people will continue to taunt and try to get someone to goad someone into a fight. I don't have time to fight. I have time to continue to strengthen myself, and that's about it. So I'm driving further away than I normally would to achieve the same thing that I could have achieved closer to home if there weren't these unusual cutbacks and attacks on what it is that I have been trying to accomplish. So some of you might understand, some of you might not understand, but again, if you've gone another season without visiting with your family for the holidays, or even if you have, possibly even more so if you have, you might recognize that some of our elders are continuing to leverage destruction towards us by not sharing what it is that needed to be shared, whether it's a conversation or an opportunity to help someone get out of the struggle that they've been in. Thankfully, we can all overcome our struggles individually. The group struggles, like let's say the climactic situation that's happened, the climate-related situation that might come to a climax, the climate-related situation that might come to a climactic circumstance. That's something that needs to be operated on by all of us as I'm passing debris that's just strewn about all over the access road here. All kinds of destruction, or, as I see it, all kinds of resources that we can work together and collect and do something with in order to accomplish the next version of what needs to happen in this ecosystem that we're all the steward of. But what do I know? I'm just some random person who has not even got a place at the table with my own family, and who's winding down this year by whining about the circumstances to you, the other persons, the observers on YouTube. Maybe we'll call them monitoring spirits for the ones that just want to go and type in things that are counterintuitive, counterproductive. Maybe we'll call them relatives for the people who can relate to the circumstances and who don't necessarily type, but occasionally they'll click the thumbs up. Thanks, Mom, for continuing to be the one person who clicks on the thumbs up on my channel for all of my videos. Just so you know, everybody, all of the videos for this next year have already been uploaded. And I've turned off comments for all of the videos for next year, including having taken another action of turning off the comments from a certain point in time for this year. All of these things are things that you'll either recognize as actions that are something that I'm doing to safeguard and or restore my own health, or you'll just continue to find other ways to figure out, how to continue persisting at taunting one another. I'm one of you. So if you're trying to make me have a worse day than I already have had, well, let it be known. Monetarily, this hasn't been easy for me. With my family, this hasn't been easy for me. With my friends, well, I can say the same exact thing. With my coworkers, former coworkers, with the leaders who basically were given the opportunity to speak the truth, who instead said that I said bad things to them. Well, they had a chance. And so right now, all I'm going to do is just roll these dice, let them roll, let them ride, and see what happens from here. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm not going to continue to try and have conversations with people that can't have conversations that are real, that are based in fact. And I'm going to go ahead and let you narrate the fiction the way that you decide to narrate fiction. And that usually is basically done with little to negative participation by many of the monitoring spirits. But for the relatives of mine, I hope that you've been able to relate to these circumstances, recognizing that once again, I'm just trying to share a circumstance here on my page to properly incentivize what it is that needs to happen in order for real change to begin to happen. How does this make sense? Well, to me it makes sense because the more I talk about this and the more that I show you that my work has been shorted, the more that I show you that my credentials have been covered up, even in the national park that I talk so much about, that I've encouraged sharing for so many years. The more that I show you all these things, the more that you're going to be able to possibly either overlook or speak the truth. And the truth is that without some of your participation in comments that were sharing insight that said, hey, I appreciate what you were doing, I possibly would have had a far worse time. I would have been in a much more negative circumstance, not being able to carry on with the action that I'm taking. I'm not trying to take it, I'm taking it. So I hope that you stay tuned for this next year. There's a lot of really good content in there that might be mixed in with some of the complex content that maybe you can or might not understand simply because of the fact that you can only hear a percentage of what's being said. So for the person that told me that they didn't want to talk with me because, well, they thought that I might only be talking about the environment and the ecosystems and things like that, I want to suggest that, well, you have an opportunity. You might be one of the people watching this and going, God, why is this guy stammering while he's talking? Why is he not, spilling his words out? Well, I've got other things that I'm thinking about. The things that I'm thinking about don't have to do with hanging out during these pretentious shill situations of fake orchestrated rituals that we're participating in. Some people basically continue to talk about blessing one another, and for whatever reason, as they're having their joyful day with all of their blessings, blessed life and all that, they're basically cursing other people. So to the persons who are cursing me, I acknowledge your feedback. I welcome your feedback, and I assure you that I'm going to take that energy and return it in the best format that I'm able to return it as through my actions. So you might not see anything updated here, brand new for this year on my page, on my channel. However, you might see a lot. You might see a lot on this page that makes sense, and you might see a lot on this page that makes a lot of dollars too. So I hope that makes a lot of brings a lot of clarity to the circumstance here for some of you. If not, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to put a video in here that tells you, hey, we're having some difficulties. We're having some difficulties, all of us, not just me, not just you, all of us. And with all of these things in mind, I hope that you are able to wish one another a better opportunity of helping to share peace, love, and all that old school stuff during this upcoming year, 2025. That's a long time. That's a long time since the last time we've all gotten together in a pleasant way, if you ask me. But, no one's really asking me. They're wanting me to be quiet. So that's the only reason why, again, I'm sharing these things, these insights in ways that are a little bit more compelling, hopefully, especially as the subscribership goes up. But make no mistake, the primary focus of this channel is wildlife and nature. So am I going to talk about the ecosystem? Am I going to talk about the environment all the time? You bet, because that's my passion. I love to see wildlife. I love to share these circumstances that are around me, and I'm observing a great illness in this entire circumstance. So I'm about to go walking with all these people who are walking. That's why I was circling around the parking lot. I'm about to shift gears for this next year, and I wanted to give you the insight and opportunity to click on the description, find out a little bit more if you want to. It doesn't really matter. This is just a YouTube page. It's not monetized. I hope it will be one day. And also, if you want to contribute to the circumstance that I'm going through, again, things might appear all in order. It's just because I try to tend to what I have in the best way that I'm able to do that. Today it's going to be almost 90 degrees here in my home city, and then tomorrow it's going to be about 60 degrees, about a 30-degree shift. These things are happening quite frequently. The wildlife and vegetation that's out here, vegetation is life too, so the wild vegetation life and the wild animal life on every level is all struggling. The wild insect life is all struggling. And if we don't find a way to communicate these topics to the top of the chain, if we don't find a way to communicate basic topics at the beginning of the chain with our family, the weakest links, then we're going to all surely fail at everything that we've been attempting to do. While some of us continue to pretend to celebrate together, pretend to offer gifts to one another that have nothing to do with our actual presence that we used to enjoy with one another. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for all of you who I've mailed things to, who I've reached out to by phone, voicemail, text, etc., by email. I hope that you're able to at least collect the message insight that was given to you and not just only skim over and get 30% of the message, of the insight, of the conversation, of the question. I hope that you're able to respond in kind with truth and clarity. And I hope that you have an amazing day, beautiful journeys, and that your health and wealth are all restored. And I wish that to you genuinely. And I actively do everything I can to try and contribute that back to you. I used to get frequent flyer miles and all these things that I would give to my friends and family. I would share these trips with people. And all the same people would tell me, oh, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to do this, that, and the other as soon as I can. But they won't. They won't return the favor. They won't do it because basically they don't want to. Everyone wants to stay afloat. So while people seem to be sinking around you, don't forget, we're all sinking together. Don't forget, if you're able to strengthen yourself and rise up and help, that's basically the only thing that you can try to do. You can help out, try to help other people, but helping other people who are just going to continue to sink without trying to learn to swim, that's basically bleeding out. I've bled out for many years. I'm tired of bleeding out. I'm tired of trying to pacify the people who don't want to have a conversation. And so that's why we're not having a conversation anymore. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Happy constant celebrations. More than that, just basic happiness. Forget all of the celebrations and the orchestrated reasons that we come to try and think about these topics. Instead, think about true joy, think about true peace, think about true health. And as you do, you'll start to recognize that health is wealth. So here's to much needed restoration of health to all of us, including the ecosystems that we are the stewards of. Peace and love. Thank you for continuing to subscribe. Thank you for continuing to watch, even though the conversations will not be had for about a year. Think about it as a maybe a vow of silence. Think about basically someone just dropping offline, but not really dropping offline. I'll be gone, but I guarantee you I won't be forgotten. And with all of that in mind, I hope that you understand. I'm also not going to forget you. I'm not going to forget any of the things that have happened, and I'm going to continue to use that as my inspiration to lift myself up and continue to get up, because I've already seen the examples of too many people that have fallen and just refused to get back up. You ever see that commercial with the elderly person that said, "I've fallen and I can't get up"? That's the circumstance for a lot of people, but it's only because of the words that are being spoken. The power of our words is monumental. And so when we say, "I can't get up," that's a declaration. When we say, "I've fallen, but I think I'll try to get back up. I'll try to get back up. I'll get back up." Pretty soon we'll be telling ourselves, "Get back up." And the voice in our head won't be negative and destructive and inferior and based on fear. It'll be based on truth, respect, love, and again, health is wealth. So what we're doing in honor of our Creator is basically trying to reflect that we've taken that health and done something with it. So have any of you received any kind of exercise-related gifts or purchased any of those things for yourself? Has anyone given you any kind of thing like a kettlebell or a jump rope or anything like that? Are you using it regularly? The gifts that we get and the gifts that we overlook sometimes, again, are the basic opportunities to have conversations with one another. So anyway, again, I drove a little bit further away than normal. I'm also using things that are taxing the environment, attacks on the environment. And that's all I can do is participate in meaningful ways that are able to bridge a conversation that has everything to do with our long-term relationship and nothing to do with our worldly relationship. Hope that sinks in. Give it an eternity to sink in if you can't get it during this 29 or 30 minutes that you've been listening so far. And I hope that, I hope that all of our health is restored in ways that are unbelievable over this upcoming year. I hope that you're doing great. And I hope that people will allow me to have an opportunity to sit at a table and possibly recognize me for saying things that have a lot to do with things other than the environment, things other than, let's call it politics, religion, whatever the things are that they say we can't talk about. In other words, I hope that people can see me as someone that is there bringing levity and truth to these opportunities we have with one another to improve our health. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way to put myself into a circumstance where people are going to continue to take away from what it is that I'm contributing, or destroy what it is that basically has been channeled through me. And for that reason, again, that's why we either will have a conversation in person, whether it be on the phone, more likely in person though, or we won't have a conversation at all. So till next time, thanks so much. I wish everyone a beautiful new year. I hope everyone had a wonderful current year. Whatever year it is, whatever day it is, whatever time it is where you're at, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.